faced a moment in life where everything around you felt unfamiliar, where you had to start over, find your voice, and build something new from the ground up? Well, my guest today knows that all too well, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Power Transformation Podcast. I am your host, Alethea Felton, and today I am joined by Carol Kabaale, a marketing strategist and meta ads expert based in South Africa. But beyond Carol's expertise in helping entrepreneurs grow their businesses, Carol has an incredible personal story about transformation that shaped her resilience, adaptability, and her untimely passion for empowering others, especially women entrepreneurs. And we're going to get ready for an inspiring conversation. And we want to dive right into this. But again, if you have not done so already, follow the Power Transformation Podcast, and I thank you for your continued support. We always begin this podcast with a positive affirmation, speaking those things as if they are. So I will say the affirmation once, and you repeat it. I embrace change and have the courage to create a life of influence and purpose. Carol Kabaale. I am so glad to have her on my show today. She is a powerhouse in her own right, and welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast. I'm so happy to have you.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, it's going to be a good show.
Yes, it will be. And I'm just excited too about just who you are, what you do, and the audience will also learn more about you. But before we start, Carol, let's just go ahead and jump right into a fun icebreaker, lighthearted question that is something that we can just get to know you and find out a bit more about you. Okay, Carol.
Yes.
In terms of your favorite ice cream flavor, what's your ice cream flavor favorite and why?
I love salted caramel. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It's a little bit like me. It's like really pretty, it's smooth, but it's salty. It's got a little bit of something you weren't expecting, you know? So I like a salted caramel. I like that little bit of in it. Yeah. So salted caramel, hit me up.
What a clever answer. And I love that. And you definitely have that it factor. You have so much more that you offer. So if someone were to say, who is Carol Kabaale? What would you say?
I would say she is a fun individual. She is hardworking. She's a wife. She's a dog mom to my little Boston Terrier, Charlie. She's a good daughter. I wouldn't say great, but I'm good. I try. She's a great friend, I have been told. And overall, I'm a person who likes to be of service. I like to help people, and I just like to enjoy life and use the time that I'm given in this location to serve and be of service.
And with that being said, Carol, in terms of you being of service and what you do, share with us a bit about what you do. Now, we'll get more into who you are, but if you were to say your job title or what you do, explain that to us.
So I have a marketing agency that I founded about like 9 years ago. In this agency, I help particularly female coaches who want to amplify their gifts and want to show up and be of service. So I help them do that through meta ads, which is Facebook and Instagram, and I help them to create ecosystems outside of socials. So I want you to like find your tribe on socials because that's where everybody is. And then I want you to take them to the second location and continue that conversation where you own that sandbox. So that's what I do.
Interesting, because yes, everything nowadays in 2025 globally is all about socials, but I do think it's important to have your own place, your own platform as well, and to create your own stages, create your own brand, so as to speak, outside of that. And I think that's really important for us as entrepreneurs and people in leadership roles to actually
Mm.
do that. And your journey in entrepreneurship and just your entire story
Oof.
of transformation is nothing short of amazing. And so that leads me to this question. Carol, you actually shared with me that you're originally from Cuba. I speak Spanish just
Wow.
like you.
Sí,
You're
sí.
originally from Cuba and you moved to South Africa as a child, only speaking Spanish and
Yes.
having to navigate that at a really young age. So, how did that journey from going from Cuba to South Africa, how did that experience as a whole shape your resilience, your
Mm.
adaptability, and your entrepreneurial mindset later in life?
Wow, that's a good one. I think
Mm,
it was I think I needed that to become the Carol that I am now. Starting like you said right in the beginning, I didn't know English.
mm,
So I remember we landed on a Wednesday and I think on the Friday my parents put me in like play school
mhm.
and I was just there. And they gave me this piece of paper and they were like, if you struggle, you go up to an adult and you show them this number. This is back when we had like, little tiny cell phones. And they would phone my parents. Like that was the plan. These guys did not have a plan beyond that. And in that, I think it really taught me that I needed to find my own voice. No one was going to speak for me. No one was going to help me. I have to help myself. So,
Mm.
fast forward a little bit, obviously, I learned English and then I learned it a lot quicker than my parents, and I was just like a little bit more fluent. So, I became the family translator. And that in itself allowed me to be in conversations that maybe children were not meant to be in. In
Mhm.
South Africa, there's a big culture in children are seen but not heard. Whereas if you come from a Hispanic or a Latin American country, kids are just part of the equation. I don't care what you're doing. Like you're having a party, kids are there. You're having a wedding, kids are there. I
Yeah.
don't care. There's no kids thing. It doesn't work in our culture. Kids are coming.
Mhm.
So it was really
Yeah,
weird
that's
when
true.
I'm now the representative for my family and I'm like, oh, they said this. Oh, she's asking that. And, I think that dynamic gave me a lot of confidence. It gave me a lot of understanding to listen so that I can
Mhm.
interpret well. And it just gave me amazing people skills. I mean, I love being around people. I've always been like someone who enjoys that community
Mhm.
feel. So those are the skills I would say that I still use today. And looking back on it, that's probably where I learned them right in the beginning.
And I will agree with you about people skills, and I'm glad that you brought it up because audience, the way Carol contacted me is through a website that's called Podmatch. However, one of the beauties about Carol was I get a lot of people that want to be on this show, literally hundreds, just not from Podmatch, but from other places. I have a wait list and I do try to sift through as many requests as I can. But as a podcaster and as a person in general, I can tell who's genuine versus just trying to get
Mm,
themselves out there. And so, what
yes.
really stood out to me about you, Carol, was your sincerity. It was
Oh,
as if, hey, this is who I am. I'm really interested. And I pay attention to people that really seek to learn a little bit about my show. And so
mm,
that's what really sparked me. And I told Carol up front, I said,
yeah.
give me a little time, but we'll connect and you'll be on the show. And sure enough, it's happened. So I share that, Carol, to say that when was that day or what sparked in you to say, I want to really take these people skills to the next level and be of service to
Mm,
others? What gave you that entrepreneurial spark, especially knowing that you're the first entrepreneur and the only one in your family?
yeah.
Mhm.
I would say, first of all, like I don't know if it was like the people skills. I
Mm,
I would say it was more for me like I wanted choice, right? I
mhm.
wanted to have choice in my life. And I think that comes I mean, we could dig deep on this, but I think
Yeah.
if we really dig deep, it starts with like, having briefly grown up in communism and gone back and forth there and seeing that kind of thing. Fast forwarding to seeing how like my parents were immigrants and they had to work hard and like things were difficult. Fast forward again to like being at school and being the only one. So I always was lacking of choice. Choices were made for me. I didn't have
Oh.
choice. So when I
Mm.
got finally into my first corporate job, I think I told you the story. Like I loved the people. The people were great. Don't get me wrong. So they're the people skills. The people were great. I make community wherever I can. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to have community. But I just didn't like my job. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like where I was. I saw the people who were living the life that I wanted to live, and they were way older than me. These people were in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s, and I was like in my 20s, and I was like, am I really going to have to wait 40 years to gain access to that? And a part of me was like, no, not today. No, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
So I set off on a quest, if you will, to find something bigger. And it came into alignment into my life when my husband proposed to me. I think I told you this joke. I
Yeah.
love saying that we waited 9 years. He waited 9 years, and then he proposed. The man wanted my blood type. So anybody listen, if he hasn't asked you yet, maybe it's your blood type. I don't know. Worked for me, could work for you. So just saying, putting it out there. And with that, I just realized that I couldn't continue in my corporate job. In my corporate job, I worked in hospitality and I kept living past my family, my friends, and the things that I valued the most. So it was important for me to create choice and create an environment where I could decide what I wanted to do next. And one of the biggest things I wanted to do was be of service. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
help people. I wanted to be helpful, to have value. And I also wanted to have fun and be creative. And I
Yeah.
think the naturally being with people and connecting, that just was the cherry on top because I like
Mm.
people, especially if they're good
Exactly.
people. I like them. Like,
Exactly.
why not?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that internal shift of making you step into entrepreneurship despite the unknowns actually fueled your journey. And I
Mm,
want to transition here is because
sure.
sometimes people will see a person and think, okay, they have this thriving business and they have things in place, but anybody will tell you, and you already know, entrepreneurship is hard. It's hard. It's tough. I'm in my 40s. You're, of course, younger, but even with your age, you've still had your ups and downs on this journey. So
Yes.
take us through that, Carol. If a person were to say, well, you're living large and it's always been
Mm.
easy for you. Carol, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned from some challenging experiences in entrepreneurship? And how did they prepare you to transform into having the success that you have today? Take us on that journey.
I would first like to say it was not easy. No one gave me anything.
Mm,
So to anybody thinking that, no, no, this was earned, not given. I want to make that
mhm,
very clear. Just let's start
mhm.
there. So when I first decided to go on this entrepreneurial journey, like I said, like I didn't have a reference point. No one in my family is an entrepreneur. People in my family are professionals, so they're like doctors or engineers. It's the
Mhm.
kind of career where like you're in a career and you stay in that career and you don't really deviate. So
Yeah.
that was the expectation for me. And when I decided, I told you this, I didn't tell anybody. I just kept quiet. And that was to my benefit. And it was also to my disservice. Because I didn't tell
Mhm.
anyone, it meant when I started my business, I didn't even tell my fiance. I just want to make that clear. Like it was me
Wow.
and God. We were the only
Okay.
ones that knew that we were doing this.
Mhm.
And when I started, I got a whole bunch of debt really quickly because I was
Mhm.
funding everything. I burned through my savings very quickly. I didn't realize what I didn't know and what I needed. And I also had this big gap. Every time I learned something, I needed to learn the next step. So I had to buy the next course. I had to join the next mastermind. I had to buy software. I needed to like hire people. So very quickly, like the credit card debt was credit card debting. It was just like piles and piles and piles.
Uh-huh.
It was not great.
That
So that
happens
was
to a lot of us. Yeah. Happens to I do not know one successful entrepreneur. I am so serious. And I'm talking about ones who are 7, 8, 9 plus figure earners now, they all have a story of getting into, especially early on, getting into a lot of debt or losing it all, having to build it back. So your story is not uncommon. Continue.
I love that. So I
Yeah.
got into all this debt, but I knew in my heart I was in the right direction, if that makes any sense. It was like I didn't see it as debt in the time. I saw it as an investment in myself. So everything that I spent on was like that. I also, because I didn't tell anyone, I didn't have that mentorship within my family unit. So as a person who's grown up really around family and always takes advice, it was weird keeping this huge secret and not being supported. So I learned to build community outside of it. I learned to find people in Facebook groups and in masterminds, in LinkedIn.
Oh.
I learned to learn from people who were strangers who couldn't necessarily judge me because they didn't know. They only knew what they knew. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
it does.
it was helpful because when they gave advice on what they know. They didn't give advice on Carol because they didn't know much about Carol. They were like, oh, you want to build a website? Well, don't do that first, rather do this. And I was like, okay, let's go do that. Oh, you want to do this? Maybe do that first. So that's how I built community. And in the first years, it was really hard because I would say the first 3 years, I was basically a solopreneur. I was doing everything. I was doing everything. Like I was the person creating the copy. I was the person doing the ads. I was the person
Of course.
facilitating everything. It was Carol Inc. here. Like Carol was
That's how it starts. Yeah.
and it's weird because when you come from corporate, you're so used, you don't realize it, but you really do have a lot of support. Like you only do your little bit and then you pass it along to somebody else. But now there's no one to pass along to. Everything is you from start to end. So that was something I also had to learn and I also had to figure out. The next 3 years of my business, I would say I had it in partnership. And that also had its challenges.
In terms of having a business partner with you?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So the next 3 years, I went into partnership with this other lady.
Okay.
And in the beginning, it was great. Our goals were very much in alignment. She had her own agency. I had my own agency, and we kind of merged them together to support each other. But during that period, funny enough, something happened where I dimmed my light so she could shine. And she became more of the face, and I started doing operational things. Now, I'm a big fan of everybody stepping into where they're most needed. So for me at the time, that felt like the logical step. But looking back on it now, it took a lot for me because I'm naturally a people person. I'm naturally always talking to people, being upfront. So it was hard, but it was doable, right? Moving a little bit forward, we parted ways. That's another lesson I learned. Everything has to be written down, guys. You don't want to be like, and I mean, I should have known better. My parents got divorced. Like, you don't want to be going through the divorce and then figuring out who gets what. The same thing in business. You want to have like things all figured out in the beginning. So much so that I just said to her, you know what, it's fine. You can have everything. And that in itself also gave me so much grace because I was like, it's okay. I can start again.
So really quickly, just for clarity. So you started business on your own.
Correct.
Then you merged and had a partnership. You
Yes.
broke from that partnership, but you said she could keep everything. So did that mean you were starting over?
That is correct. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the
Okay.
reason I said she could have everything is, don't think like, oh, Carol, you were so naive. Maybe you should have fought for things. I didn't need it, to be quite honest with you. The way the partnership was ending, I didn't want it to end in a negative way. And it would have taken more energy from me to fight for something for a sinking ship. I was like, you want the ship? Take the ship.
I
I can
see.
go buy another ship. We can create another ship. Like, I don't need this ship.
I got
And
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And for
Did
me, yes.
did did you come to that realization instantly, or did it take time before you said, let me just give it over to her and start over?
Oh no. I was mad. I was sad. I went through like a whole
Oh.
stage of grief with it.
Okay, so tell us that, because that's important, not in terms of details of what happened, but
Mm.
grief. I'm glad you brought that up because
Yes.
instantly people think of grief as a person dying, but I
Mm.
know grief to be you grieve anything that you lose. And that's a
Yeah.
real process. And sometimes people try to brush over things, but grief is
Mhm.
real, whether it's a breakup from a partner, whether it's losing a job, whether it's any loss, whether you've lost your home through a fire or tragedy. Grief is real. Take us through that process of the grief that you experience with it and how you came to this powerful decision and you bounced back and bounced ahead to say, let me give it to her and to rebuild.
Yeah. So the grief really came because my whole identity had become Carol, this business owner. That's what I was.
Mm.
I
Oh,
didn't know anybody else but that. Because before that, I was Carol, the corporate person. Before that, I was someone's daughter. So I was never just Carol. I was always Carol attached to something. And I had worked really hard to build this something. It was my entire personality, my entire world, what I was doing. So when I saw that everything I fought so hard to get to, I think also what's important to understand is by the time that I was in this partnership, we were hitting like six figures, seven figures consistently all the time.
hmm,
This was like, if you will, a real business in inverted
yeah,
commas,
uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh,
we
yeah,
had we had systems, we were like invoicing big numbers, like this was it, this is what we all had worked for. I was there, and now it was gone,
mm,
and that felt like utter poop emoji. It just felt
mm,
terrible because I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing for the past 6 years? What were all the late nights for? What were all the sacrifices? What was all the debt for, if
yeah,
not for this? And I grieved it a lot in the sense that I was sad, I was disappointed. I was like, how could I allow this to happen? Why didn't I see the red flags? Why didn't I, step into my power and say, no, maybe I can fix it? So it was like this back and forth of
mm,
emotions, like, like going through anger and going through like shock and denial and going through like bargaining with myself, like maybe we can do this, maybe we can do. So it really was grieving this thing
yeah,
that was now gone. And eventually I landed on, I don't need this. And I think I landed on that because I was just like, it's going to take so much of me to keep this going.
mm,
And so much negativity has already happened that it won't ever be the same. Even
mm.
if I get to keep it, or even if I fight for parts of it, like it's just always going to, there's a part energetically that's always going to be tied to that situation. And I just
Whoa,
didn't want that.
yeah, that is such a so I'm just gonna put it out there. That's a mature mindset to have, especially based on an audience. I don't say this in a disparaging or negative way. Carol is a young woman. I won't say her age, but what I'm going to say is this. When I met Carol and I found out her age, it's something about younger people that I love because I was in leadership roles at a young age, a really young age. And I experienced some, not all, but I experienced some negativity about, oh, you haven't experienced this or that and this. And I always reference the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I say, Dr. King was 26 when he started the Montgomery bus boycott. So
Wow.
you don't have to be quote unquote older or old to really make a change. And I bring this up because that was such a mature frame of mind to have at the age you were. Because I know that a lot of people, even being older in their 40s and 50s and up, could have walked away being really bitter, disgruntled, n- fighting it. But for you to have had that sense shows me the foundation you had, even as a young girl, of having to go through transitions and changes in your life really led to such empowerment. More empowerment, so you didn't just quit. You didn't go back and say, I'm going to do corporate for the rest of my life. But
No.
instead, Carol, you decided to thrive. So take us to that journey where you came to that point to say, this chapter may be dead in my life, but something can be reborn. God can make all things new. Take us there. Mm-hmm.
So honestly, the first thing I did is I after I sat there, I sat for a little bit, like you said, and I just thought about everything and I was like, how do I rebuild? How do I start again?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did go to therapy for a little bit in that period. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that my therapist said is like, you need to do something with your hands. Now, for those of you listening that maybe cannot see me, I am not the type of girl who is doing things with her hands, okay? I am the type of girl who gets somebody else to do things with their hands for them,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I am, not that I'm not capable. I'm just, these nails were not built for that, okay? This Carol is not built for that.
Yeah.
That being said, I was like, okay, okay. So one of the things that I did was, funny enough, the office that we're sitting in, I painted the whole room. It used to be a spare bedroom. I decided, no, it's going to be my office. It's going to be my space. I'm going to reclaim this.
Mm-hmm.
I moved the bed out of it and I painted the room. I didn't know how to paint, but I learned. I didn't know how to use like the little
Oh
scalpel
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I was doing that. I was sanding things. I was painting. I was putting stuff.
Wow.
So I painted the whole room. I changed the light fixtures. I chose all the furniture and all of that. Once I finished, right, what I realized she was having me do was showing me that I can rebuild at any time, at
Mm.
any moment. And with that kind of proof of concept in mind, I was like, okay, let's do it again. And I chose to build this agency that I've had now for 3 years, if you will, this iteration of it,
Mm-hmm.
with the best of everything I've learned. I have hired the most hardworking people who I also had in my previous agency that I just loved. And I was like, I will always love working with them. They are excellent humans and individuals. So some of them, they went there, but the grass is greener where you water it. And let's say I've got sprinklers.
That's oh
So
girl. Oh, I so love you, Carol. Oh, I love that. I love that quote.
I'm just saying, I
Yes.
have.
You
So
have
people
sprinkled.
came
Oh.
and we were flourishing. And I also made sure that the clients we had, I wanted to work with people who were going to do something bigger than profit. The reason I tend to work with coaches per se is because I feel like they're here to be of service. But it doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to be a coach. It can be like someone who's here to be of service. If you have a product that you can't really put into a box,
Mm-hmm.
but you are here to serve and help people with it, that's who I want to work with. I want to talk to you because you're here
Mm-hmm.
for a bigger mission than money.
Yeah.
And once you serve people, the ripples, the wave, the impact, that's what I wanted to be about. I wanted to amplify those people. So that's how we started. And I was like, okay, that we're not going to say yes to everyone. People came and they were like, oh, Carol, you're back. I was like, nope, not the right client. And that
Mm-hmm.
was hard to say, especially in the beginning, because I needed the money, but I stayed true. I was like, no, 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 we're going to stay
Yes.
on course. We're going to stay on course. And we did. And it's been so great because now I feel like I've found my people. I have the best team. Like they're all women, different kind of women, like, in ages, in races, and personalities, and circumstances. And I just love that. I love that I get to be a part of it. And in terms of the work we do, like I said, we just amplify your greatness. So if you have something great to say, let me tell people about it for you.
Exactly. And, even for you, a lot of people, whether they're in entrepreneurship or not, can take away some valuable nuggets from you to say, like, every person isn't your client. And so
Mhm.
sometimes there are people who just want anybody, but it's quality over quantity. And I even had to learn this when it came to people online that have a certain number of social media followers. Just because
Mm.
you might have a lot of followers doesn't mean that you're really giving the quality offline. And I've experienced that myself in working with different people, not all, but different people, is that don't be fooled by how many people a person has. It's really sifting through to see, okay, who's really for me and not. And I always give a shout out to my former business coach who did just that
Mm,
for me, where he was wonderful for me for many years. But he said to me, look, you're trying to go to this place. I've taken you as far as I can take you. You need somebody that can take you to that next level. And so I
mm,
appreciate even how you, Carol, when it comes to being very strategic about who you want to work for, that turns out in your favor. And so my question to you now is what what was the biggest mindset shift or strategy that really helped you move from struggling to
mhm.
sustaining and scaling a thriving business?
Be consistent. Be consistent. And that's, I can
Elaborate.
say it
Yeah.
again, be consistent. Because here's the
Elaborate on
thing.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So being consistent for me just meant like, sometimes you can compare yourself to other people and like,
Yeah.
oh, they have more followers than I do. Oh, they're better at speaking than I am. Oh, they send out bigger, retainers or invoices or whatever. We love to compare. I don't know where it comes from in our DNA as
Yeah.
humans, but we love to compare.
That's
What I
true.
will say is you can compare as a benchmark, but don't let it be. The difference between them and you is that they show up every single day. They show up when they're tired. They show up when they don't want to. They
Yup.
show up when they have things. And how they show up, maybe some people are smart about it and they batch. So they create content in on one day and they do everything. And you're like, how does this person do it? Well, they have systems, they have batching, they have things that they use to help them, right? But it could also just be like, you don't need to outwork them. You could be up to like midnight and that person has a better strategy.
Mhm.
And just because they're consistent with their strategy, not when they feel like it, they're going to get ahead. Here's the secret, I think, to like selling or just being successful or anything,
Mhm.
especially if you're selling something. People buy when they are ready to buy, not when you want to
Girl,
sell,
you're right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And I'm experiencing that even now with the membership community I just launched. I have some founding members, which is great, but there have been people I've talked to that have said they know that they need to be a part of it. They
yeah.
know it. Everything resonates, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still themselves keeping them back because I can't force them. I can use all of my sales tactics and strategies, which
Yes.
work. But at the
Mm,
end of the day, girl, that's powerful. You're so
got
right.
And because of that, you need to be consistent. You need
Yup.
to be the number one choice for when they are ready to buy.
Yup.
That being said, like if you only show up on the days you feel like it, and that's for everything in
You're
life,
right.
in your marriage, in your family, in your work. If you only show up when you feel like it, well, those are the results you're going to yield.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be consistent every day, move the needle forward 1% and watch what happens,
Mm-hmm.
what you create.
And
Because
it can and usually does take time.
Of course, of
Yup.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say, like, look, I love telling people I've been at this for 9 years because this didn't happen yesterday.
Nope.
This didn't happen 2 years ago. I did not just, create one thing and became a millionaire or whatever it is that these
Yup.
people are selling smokes and mirrors. It's not
Mm-hmm.
me. It was on the days I didn't want to, I showed up,
Girl, you better say so. Yes.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you guys just need to bet on yourself and keep your head down, like this. You need to be like this
Yup.
because distractions are gonna come. People are gonna tempt you with like quick fixes, quick ways around it,
Yup.
and it may work. It may give you a little boost, but just like if you have an energy drink, you're gonna go and you're gonna crash out. But
Ooh.
if you can stay consistent, that's the game of that's what changed everything in my business. I used to treat my business, I even think in the beginning, as a hobby in the sense that I used to work really long hours for periods in my business. So like this week, oh my gosh, I'm so productive. I'm like not sleeping. I'm like doing. And then next week, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I'm emotionally drained. I can't even
Mm-hmm.
show up how I want to. That's inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're tired of me saying this word, but be consistent.
Girl, I'm not. Oh God, Carol, I just love you. From the second I met you, you are the truth. This is in your voice. We'll talk, of course, more offline, but your message and your voice,
Thank you.
you ought to be globally known. And I know that you're well known, but in terms of global, everything you're saying is so true. And again, even for the people, because my audience, not everybody is in business, and this podcast just doesn't. More recently now, I do interview mainly entrepreneurs, but anybody can come on my show. But what you're saying can be applied to just life in general. And this part right here that I want to get to, because we have a few minutes left, is for anybody. This is universal. Carol, when I first met you, I'll never forget, you said to me, and I said, oh, this is major. With
Oh, I
me
think I know.
in the States, okay, with me being in the States, I can say, and then Lord knows I'm not going to talk politics, but what I can say is right now, the climate in this country is it's really a good time to kind of make money on your own and to be creative in things because the economy right now is kind of uncertain with a lot of people, especially in government, losing jobs, etc. And so with entrepreneurship, and I'm just kind of lining up this question, in entrepreneurship, typically people come across people who are all about making money, making money. You got to make money, got to make money. That's well and good. But I'm meeting the very highly successful ones. And even with the kind of mindset I have is that money is a tool that will open up the opportunity for more time in your life. And Carol, you said that yes, money and the building wealth is important, but you said time is freedom. And with that philosophy, you've built a business that allows you to create more space for what truly matters. So, what practical steps can not only entrepreneurs take, but also people in general, anybody listening or watching this can take to start reclaiming their time without sacrificing growth?
So I'm going to tell you one of my lovely life quotes, and I shared it with you last time, and this is going to apply perfectly to reclaiming your time. And that is, what you don't change, you choose. Right? What you don't change, you choose. So I'm going to need you to think about this for a little bit. Like, we don't know how many days or time we get on this planet. I hope we get a lot. Apparently, we're going to live to 100. That would be great. That means I still got some more time. But each day is not promised. So you kind of have to put yourself in that place and be like, what am I choosing today? Is it in my life? Like, am I eating unhealthy? Can I fix that? Am I showing up as a bad friend, a bad daughter, a bad wife, a bad spouse, a bad sister? Can I change that? Or am I choosing these relationships to be negative, these relationships to not yield anything positive, these relationships to just be, yeah, I think it's so important to have that time. That's something I want. Like, as you mentioned, for me, I've never really built my business around having, like, money is nice. It is nice. But I want time. I want to show up. I want to be that mom who brings orange slices to my kids' game. I want to be a wife who's here and is present. I want to be a great daughter. I want to be like a great friend and just like pick up the phone and call my friends. That happens when you're very intentional with your time, when you treat your time as equally as you would treat your money. Now, a lot of us are just like, oh, I have time. Do you? Do you have time? We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and some of us are being like overachievers with them. Some of us are becoming millionaires. Some of us are like going and moving across the world and like living off like this much money, but they're on a beach. And the rest of us are like, how did they do it? Well, they did it. They figured out that they needed more time to be happy.
Yes.
And I think a lot of other things, other factors, like we get put into this thing, like we have to compare ourselves, we have to buy a new house, we have to do this. We're constantly consuming all these materialistic things. At the end of the day, you know, as my husband says, at the end of the day will end. But also, but also, it's just like when you have a wedding, right? I spent the most money on the videos. True story. I spent the most on the video, the pictures, and the dress. Also hair and makeup, but that's another story. We'll have to tell my husband that. The reason I so strategically picked those items to spend the most of our budget on is because that's what I have left. Those are the things that I can still cling on to. Those are the memories that I can still have. I can still see the dress. I can still see the pictures. I can still see, you know, the movies and whatever it is of the wedding. The same thing with your life. What parts of it are you going to be able to keep? What memories are you going to be like, wow, that was amazing. We went scuba diving, or we went on safari, or I helped this organization. I was of service. What can you say you can put into, you know, your memory bank that you really can't take with you to the next location?
Mm. That is beautifully stated. And it's interesting you would bring up your wedding, because with my parents, they've been married 47 years now. And my mom said the only thing she would change, although they have a wedding album, she didn't get professional photographs done. It was just someone taking pictures. And
Yes.
that's the only thing she would have changed. Is she says she tells any bride, invest in a good videographer and a
Yes.
photographer specifically. She still has her dress. My grandma made her dress, but in terms of that, because she says those are memories that you can't
Yes.
get back, and she wishes she had more and had them done nicely and well, because it's all about that time factor of it.
Yes.
Share also, Carol, if you can remember, and if not, it's okay, but I don't want to butcher it. You said
Sure.
something to me about the time factor, about even our lives. People think they have all of the time in the world. But when we talked a while back, you said something about dinosaurs and the time frame that they
Oh.
had on Earth and stuff. Girl, that was so powerful. I've been wanting to tell people that, but I don't want to mess it up. Can you say it, please, if you can remember?
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that you put that. Okay,
Girl,
so
yes.
what we spoke about was really true, right? So everybody knows dinosaurs were on the planet, right? But for some reason, we all have this, I don't know who told us this lie, but we all have this lie in our head that they were here for like a little short period. And then this rock came and poof, they went away. And then, you know, the rest evolution happened and humans showed up, right? Here's the truth. And like, I don't know the exact figures. You're going to have to Google this. But dinosaurs were here for like a huge amount of time. If you want to think about it, they were here for like a ruler's length. They were here for like a whole sub. They were here for like a building. I want an elephant. Think of something big, a whale. Like they were here for that big of a time. Okay. Humans have been here for like a second. If you want to think about it in hours, let's use time actually. That's a great way. Dinosaurs have been here for days and humans have been here for a second. And
Yes.
that is wild to me. What you are doing right now feels can be so insignificant, right? You may
Yes.
think like, oh, we've only been here for like a second. It's so insignificant.
Exactly.
I want to tell
Exactly.
you right now, because it's so insignificant, why not? Why
Wow.
not? If
Wow.
it doesn't matter because we've only been here for a second, why not? Why
Mm.
not bet on yourself? Why not try? No one is going to remember us. Well, maybe you in like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So why
Yes.
not? I don't even remember the young girl I was when I was in high school. I mean, she
That's
was
right.
fun, but I try
Yeah.
not to remind myself of her.
Yeah.
She
That
was
is
fun
so,
though. She was.
yeah.
But if it's
Exactly.
one little bit, right? We're still talking about dinosaurs like now, and they
That's
were around
right.
for like years and years. So
Mm-hmm.
I want you to use that and remember, right? If we've only been here for a little bit and it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does,
Nope.
but it
It does.
doesn't really matter.
That's right.
Go for it. Go for it.
Wow. Oh.
Do it.
Thank you for sharing that. And as we come to a close, thank you for that. And as we come to a close, Carol, let me ask you, first of all, before I ask the closing question, if a person wants to contact you and say, hey, I'm a coach, I'm interested in learning more about Carol, or even if there's a podcaster or someone with a show watching this or listening and say, I'd love to have her on my show, how can people connect with you, Carol?
So everywhere online, my name is
Mhm.
simply Carol Kabaale. I'm sure it will be on the show notes.
Mhm.
And if you feel inclined to think, I thought about advertising. I want to figure this Facebook ads thing out. I want to tell you, I've got your back. Okay. I don't want you to take your money, throw it at the wall, and hope it's going to stay. Okay.
That's right.
I have created a Facebook quiz. It's going to be 2 minutes of your time. You're going to take this quiz and it's going to tell you if you should be investing in ads. If now is the
Oh,
time for you to invest in yourself and amplify your message. So if that sounds like something you want to do, then please go find the link. I'm sure it will be around here somewhere and
yes,
let's
I
connect.
would. Wonderful. Thank you. And just a couple of quick
Mm,
closing questions. Carol, if you could give your younger self, if you could go back in time before you even started business and give yourself one piece of advice be, before you even started your first business, what would it
mm.
be?
I'll probably tell her it's going to be okay
Yeah. Oh,
because it's it was hard. I felt like younger Carol specifically, she always wanted to fit in. She wanted
mm,
to be accepted. And
mm,
the things that make younger Carol want to dim her light, be part of the group, are the things that people now celebrate, are the things that
yeah.
have made my business unique, are the things that have made me a great wife, a great friend. And I also want to say that I'm not just saying these things because, like, oh, Carol, she thinks she's all that in a packet of chips or something. I don't know. These are things I've been told because of qualities that before I thought I shouldn't share, that I needed to dim myself, that I needed to be more quiet, that I needed to be more reserved, that I shouldn't boast
Wow.
about myself, that I shouldn't be so confident. These are things that have helped me to be a great guest on podcasts, to
Yeah.
serve, to help people. And that wouldn't have happened if I said, oh, no, let me just stay here.
Just being
No.
you, just being you. Yeah,
So it's going to be okay.
that's right.
And the things that you find weird are the things that make you great.
They sure are. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, girl, I love this. And so, as we come to a close, Carol, what legacy do you want to leave in the footprints of this earth, whether it's in your business or even in just your personal life? What's the legacy that you want to leave?
For me, I really just want to be the first one to break big barriers in like my family per se.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, one of the things I really feel like is really important why I like having so much time is because they
Yeah.
like relationships. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
break those generational curses of like things and patterns like divorce, things like people not having enough finances, people always having to depend on someone in their family.
Exactly.
These are things that will not be happening
Yeah.
in my family. I'm going to tell you that
Exactly.
right now.
Hmm.
Like, no. And I mean, if that is your situation and if that's what you want to do, I respect your decisions. But I
Hmm.
am trying to break things that are beyond me so that my littles or my tiny humans can look back and go, oh, okay. If we want to start a business, I guess we can. Oh, if we want to stay in marriage and like not get divorced, I guess we can. Look, Carol did
Hmm.
it. You
Yep.
know, so I just want to be the first. And I know that's hard because it's a lonely road. No one's ever been there.
Hmm.
But I think it's needed because I think I'm tired and I think my ancestors are tired of going through the same
Yes.
circle. You know,
Hmm.
I really believe in this. I really want to just say this.
Hmm.
Life gives you the same problems until you choose to choose differently. So
I
if
agree.
right? So if you
Hmm.
are going through something and you're like, why does this keep coming up? What are you choosing? What are you
Hmm.
choosing? Because, for example, if we just did this in a relationship sort of way, if you keep finding a man who cheats on you, why do you keep finding him? When
That's
are you
right.
meeting him?
Mhm.
What are you doing to bring him into your life?
Yeah.
Right? So life will give you the same decisions or the same choice, same scenario until you choose differently. So for me, I feel like I'm here to choose differently, and that's going to be my legacy.
Oh my goodness. And I am so glad that I chose you to be on this podcast because you are dynamic. I know that we will continue keeping in touch. Thank you, Carol, for just being you. You are going to go so far in life and you will get everything that your heart desires. Continue to show up as yourself, but also keep simply serving others, doing it with the heart of gold that you have. And Carol, it has been my honor to have you here as a guest on the Power Transformation Podcast. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.